All right, traders, the watch list video for Wednesday, July 28th. You see how narrow the SPY was. I'm showing you daily on the SPY, how narrow it was today. And actually, that's a little bit of a volume spike over yesterday, but it was really dead. It did kind of curl up and close pretty strong. I mean, most of the day, if you look at it, right, if you were there, most of the day was this. Just in a slow downward sloping channel, and then in the last, I guess, hour, got a decent bounce. But this kind of action does not really offer a lot of great setups for day traders like myself. I want to play the stuff that's in play, unusual relative volume. And as I said in last night's video, we're in the middle of summer, FOMC week, and so it's usually dead the days before the FOMC announcement, which is tomorrow at 2 p.m. Eastern. So I think tomorrow will probably be dead too, maybe until after the announcement, and then maybe at least we get some action. I don't know. But it was one of those days. I always tell people a skill you have to acquire as a trader is to do nothing when there's nothing to do. All right. Couple highlights still from the day though. Nrxp, and I'm going to go to like 2-minute candles because I called it. Well, I'll just leave it like this. See this early spike to 1739. It came down, started to curl back up. And I over the mic, I said I like this on an opening range or over the high of day, right, which would be 1740. But when it got to 1720, I went ahead and said I'm Tokyoing some there. I was just grabbing some there, what we call in anticipation of the high of day break. And we did get the push. We got one pullback, and then it just really took off. We also had a later call. Kevin P. and I kind of teamed up on the 21 break right there, and it went pretty quickly to 22, whatever it was, 22.39. So a couple ways to trade Nrxp today, but the initial one was the big one. If you got it, SGOC was a late day call by, I hope I'm saying this right, Bala, B-A-L-A in the chat room. Bala posted SGOC over 860. And you know what? Look what SGOC finally, as a bounce play yesterday, got this big volume. It wasn't quite, well, it was in the afternoon. It had a nice volume pop, but then topped out at 920. I think that yesterday's pop probably helped it work today, because when it broke the 860, Bala's idea, you had yesterday's high not far away, right? You had yesterday's high 60 cents away, but for the way SGOC has traded lately, that's not very far. So anyway, there's your break, and it just absolutely ripped and went out at the highs. What a great call there. So that was a great way to end the day for anyone who got it. It was $2.40 move in your favor on probably 30 cents risk. Anyway, so there's a couple highlights from today. I actually had a really nice day, but one thing I'm really good at is not trading when there's nothing to trade. It's one thing I've gotten, that doesn't come from me being wise or smarter than anybody else. It literally comes from me doing it over and over and over, and usually doesn't end well, right? So trading a dead market or forcing trades when there's no volume has cost me a lot of money over the years. So there's where my discipline on that comes from. I just, if I catch myself considering something and there's no volume and it feels like nobody's watching it, I just pass, right? I just pass. There'll be another trade to come along. I'd rather be in nothing than I would be in something and losing money. All right, so anyway, what are we watching for tomorrow? Remember, it's FOMC day, but let's get into it. NURO had the big rip, and now, 4 days lower? Each day that it gets lower, I like it a little more. So I like it a little more than I did yesterday. We're going to watch that for one of our A-plus intraday bounce play setups. Same thing with NAOV, had the huge move, then the gap up, then 2 nasty down days. This one goes on bounce watch for tomorrow. CEMI was in the video last night. It goes right back on bounce watch again. It's not a pretty chart, but it had good news that ripped it here, and then the next day ripped it again here, and then just off a cliff. This is way oversold and due for a good snapback bounce. Doesn't mean it has to, but if I get an A-plus setup on it as far as a bounce play goes, I'm certainly going to give it a try. This one's kind of obscure. I never can type this symbol. CPOP. It's kind of obscure, but again, this was almost 80 bucks. I don't know, maybe a month ago. Probably not even a month ago. It was July 1st, and tomorrow is July 28th. So, but you kind of had just got decimated. It attempted a couple bounces here, and now you've got like 4 days in a row red again. So I think it's interesting for a potential bounce. Don't get me wrong. I'm not looking at this chart thinking it's pretty in any way, shape, or form, but I've been watching it trade, and I certainly think it's overdue for a bounce. So it goes on bounce watch. IPA had the big rip. It's a little closer after a few days lower. It's a little closer to a round trip than I would like, but I still think it's worth watching for a turn back up. Nrxp, I already talked about this one. I did have the big pop today. It closed well off its highs though, but it's been a pretty decent trader for me, so I am going to put that one on watch. I don't know. I'm on the fence about this one. You know what? I'm going to take this off the list. Probably be the big mover tomorrow. XAIR. We had the nice bounce in it today. It gave a quiet entry today. Anyone who took it over 740. I think I got after hours on here. No, I don't. Anyone who took it over the 740 area, I would call that a quiet entry. I thought it was interesting earlier on when it was maybe starting to curl back up here, and then I also noted that at that point it had only traded like 50,000 shares or something. I might be looking at the wrong spot, but anyway, but it was a decent move if anyone took a quiet entry. I didn't call it and I didn't take it. But I'm going to go ahead and leave that off the list because it's already made a big intraday move today. So let's move on to SPRT. Had a nice bottoming tail today. It's been strong lately. Unfortunately, in after hours, it's trading at 880 right now. So potential gapper tomorrow. I unfortunately, because I didn't catch any kind of after hours trade in it. That's why I say unfortunately. Hang on a second here. All right, so that is SPRT, possible gapper tomorrow. XBIO gave a nice bounce today, and it's just been a stock with making pretty big moves percentage-wise on an intraday basis. So closed above its open, but also closed well off its highs. But if you look at it on 5-minute candles, it kind of got going here and had a nice little move here too. I don't know. I think it bears watching. AEHR just goes on long watch. It had a nice bounce today, but didn't give any kind of a trigger that I liked. Had it on bounce watch, but it did have a nice turn today in that buy zone. So we'll watch for that green candle to maybe follow up with some more green tomorrow. CODX, kind of a sleeper pick, but a big volume breakout a few days ago, and it's starting to curl back up. SGOC, I already talked about this one. It's got to go on watch tomorrow after that intraday move and that great call by Bala. That's SGOC. Couple more. NNVC, which attempted a breakout today but closed off of its highs. I want to watch that one tomorrow. And then BVXV, let me zoom in a little bit. Nice volume today, topped out just over 4. So maybe a break of 4 tomorrow, knowing that today's high is 404 could be another catalyst. Certainly big volume for the name. Definitely deserves to be on watch. And we'll add gappers to this list as well in the pre-market tomorrow. You know what? It's just taken 1 or 2 decent little trades a day to make a living. And so just, I hate to sound like a broken record, but don't force things in a weak, or I shouldn't say weak tape, in a low volume tape. Make sure they're A+. I'm done babbling. We'll see you guys in the chat room in the morning.